All right, good day. I am Associate Professor TANIMU YUSUF. I am one of the lecturers that will be teaching you on the GST122 titled Communication in English. And I'm sure you are conversant with my person. The aspect of the GST122 this time around that I'll be handling you on is in the area of kinds of writing. And the very first item that I shall be dealing with you on is on the topic letter writing. Under that, the following shall be our preoccupation: introduction, the meaning of letter writing, types of letter writing, under which you have formal letter, informal letter, semi-formal letter, and the structure of formal letter. Um, Under the introduction, by way of introduction, I'd like to say that in our previous lecture series on the GST 111, Communication in English, you will recall that the aspect of my engagement with you centered on the topic writing, in which I lectured on the meaning, types, elements, and kinds of writing. Thus, as a continuation, this segment of my engagement with you on the GST 122, Communication in English, will be on the aspect of kinds of writing, for which I shall begin with letter writing. To do so, the lecture will focus on the meaning, types, structure, or characteristics, as well as language use in letter writing. And following this is for me to let you know what are the benefits you stand to get uh, from this very study or lecture known as the learning outcome. So basically by the end of reading this piece or the lecture, you would be having a better understanding of one of many kinds of writing as letter writing, and in this case, the formal letter. The benefit from the lecture will be in terms of the followings. One, knowing about the meaning of letter writing and being able to conceptualize such in your own language use. Two, knowing about types of letter writing, which in this case are three. Three, identifying types of letter types of letter writing as formal, informal, and semi-formal. And four, understanding the structure of formal letter and where they are written. Five, knowing about the language used in a formal letter to do with abbreviation, contraction, punctuation, etc. And finally, six, understanding the sketch of the positions of the various parts of the formal letter. Meaning and types of letter writing. Um, this is a kind of writing like any other kind or type of writing. However, letter writing is a writing in the form of a letter meant as a means of communication from one person to another, from one person to an organization, from an organization to a person, or from an organization to an organization. An important idea to note on the meaning of letter writing is that it is a means of writing messages from one person to another and vice versa. Again, it is worth noting that a letter is usually an instrument in written form that gets sent through post. Before the advent of modern technology in the form of the email and social media, letters were the most common and reliable means of sending messages, whether personal, private, and official, between people and organizations. Types of letter. Broadly, letter writing can be classified into three: formal, informal, and semi-formal. The formal letter is always considered as official. The informal is always personal and private too, whilst the semi-formal sits between or appeals both in terms of the formal and informal. For this lecture, we shall provide details on the formal letter. Formal letter. This letter follows a certain pattern and formality. it is strictly kept direct and formal in nature, as well as directly addresses the issue it is concerned. Right. Sorry for the technical glitch. About the structure of formal letter, structurally, the structure or characteristics of a formal letter consists of 6 aspects, which comprise 1, the address of the writer; 2, the address of the receiver; 3, the opening salutation; 4, the subject matter; 5, the body of the letter; and 6, the closing remark or closing salutation. The address of the writer. This is the first part in the structure of the formal letter. It is written by the top right-hand side of the paper, usually beginning from the middle of the paper. The address of the writer contains information about the place and location of the writer. The address of the writer can also be referred to as the addresser's address. The writing of the address does not require the use of abbreviation. There is the use of punctuation only if the writer knows how to do so. Basically, the writing of the address can be either slanted, which is vertical, or in blocked form, which is known as also horizontal. Yes, address of the receiver. This is the second part of the formal letter, written by the left side of the paper from the margin to the middle portion of the paper. The writing of this address is on the next line below that on which the writer's address is written. Like the writer's address, the receiver's address is also otherwise called addressee's address. As in the writing of the writer's address, no abbreviation is required and punctuation can be applied if used in the address of the writer. Opening salutation. The opening salutation is the third part of the formal letter, which caters to the common and generally used phrase, "there, sir," or "there, madam." It should be noted that the use of any such phrase is intended as a means of humble reverence and plausibly may be seen to represent the fact that the writer does not know the name of the receiver. The writing of this is on the same margin of writing as applicable in the writing of the addressee's address. Subject matter. Being the fourth part of the formal letter, the subject matter is the part in the letter on which the issue of concern to the letter is written. It is the writing of what the letter is meant for. As the main content of the letter, this is written on the line below the opening salutation, and it is also centralized on the body of the letter. The body of the letter, as the fifth part of the formal letter, the body of the letter represents the belly of the letter. It is the part in which the subject matter is presented in details by direct and exactness of statement. Thus, the body of the formal letter is only dedicated to the main issue as contained in the topic, title of the letter, although this may take the form of some brief digression where, when necessary, and depending on the preoccupation of the letter. Often, the body of a formal letter is just a paragraph, but it can be in as many paragraphs as may be required. The linguistic practice of writing the body of the letter is not to use abbreviation and contraction in the writing of any word. The writer must also avoid being pedantic in the use of language and unnecessary writing of long, unwinding sentences. There should be simplicity of expression, precision, and clarity. Closing remark or salutation. The sixth and last basic part of the formal letter is as short as the opening salutation. It is formulated as a phrase of "yours faithfully," followed by the signature of the writer and the full name of the writer on the following line. Note that the writer may begin writing his name with the surname with a comma before the first name. However, the writer can also write his name beginning with the first name before the surname. Structure of formal letter. For For purposes of clarification and demonstration of the structural appearance of a formal letter, consider the sketch below. Item 1 there, as you can see, we're assuming here that we are writing the formal letter on a paper. And so the item Roman numeral 1 there is indicative of the position by which the address of the writer may be written on the paper, from the middle part of the paper towards the right hand side. And you can see immediately after the address of the writer, the date is usually written at the bottom of the address of the writer, and it is written in full. It is never written in abbreviation. Note, in all types of letter or kinds of letter, the date is always coming immediately at the bottom of the address of the writer. Roman numeral 2 is showing you the location on the paper where the writing of the address of the receiver is written. Roman numeral 3 is showing you where the writing of the opening salutation, which is the dear sir or dear madam, is written. While Roman numeral 4 is showing you where the writing of the subject matter, which is, if you like, the topic or the issue of concern to the formal letter, is written. Normally, as you can see, it is centralized. While numeral 5, which is V, is indicating to you what is represented as the body of the letter. Here, we're just implying, remember, you have just been told that the body of the letter can be formed in terms of one paragraph or several paragraphs, while Roman numeral 6 is showing you the location on the paper of how the writing of the closing remark, closing salutation may be written. Above sketch shows the position of the various parts of the formal letter and their location when written on the paper. It should be understood that the closing remark, salutation, may be written by the left-hand side, as is common with nowadays practice, especially with the use of the computer, and this is known as block style closing remark or salutation. Similarly, in the body of the letter, this is applicable to all types of letters. The writing of the paragraph can be in indented or in blocked style. Additionally, I would like to inform that one who writes a formal letter must, as much as possible, focus very exactly and specifically on why that formal letter is written. Happy reading. Assignment for the week. The following assignments for the week. 1. What are the kinds of letter writing? 2. Sketch the formal letter showing the position of the 6 parts in it. And 3. Practice the writing in full of each of the parts in the structure of the formal letter. Thank you for getting along with me.